Hey everybody, this is Benjamin Wan, and if you're listening to this, you've tuned into the Electrify Your Mind podcast. I am your host, and today is a very special episode. It's episode number 4, and I've decided to make it a storytelling episode. I just recently, you may or may not know, I just recently released episode 3, and it felt so damn good just to start releasing again that I decided I wanted to get right back to it and do another one. And luckily for you, I just, I was telling you in the last episode where I'm at right now, that I'm working, and this kind of story kind of relates. It kind of relates to what I was telling you, like, about my job. So it just kind of kicks off. It just recently started happening to me, and then it made me think about back in the day as a child. And as you know from my very first episode, Child versus Man, I am a person, I'm sure everybody is, but like I'm talking about me right now, as I am a person that constantly, goes back to memories as a child, and I always compare it to being a man or an adult. Let's stop there and just say adulthood. And so where I'm at right now kind of pertains to what's going on. And let's just get to the storytelling. So I'll tell you the story. And this is just off the top of my head. I didn't write anything this time. And we're going to... So I'm just going to tell the story off the top of my head because it's still pretty fresh, and then I'll tell you what's been going on, which is what brought me to this. So I don't really know where to start. As a kid, so I want to make this storytelling episode to basically be about kind of the supernatural, I guess you'd call it. It's kind of about ghosts and maybe a little bit of aliens, maybe let's just say the unknown, which is a big part of questioning and electrifying your mind. Basically, it's you start asking questions, you start thinking about the unknown, and through that, hell, will electrify all our minds here. So here we go. Let's talk about it. So I don't know what age I was when I would think about this sort of stuff, but I used to have dreams, and to me, dreams are very important. I've had some experiences with dreams, like let's see. There was a time where I was smoking really heavily. I was smoking weed, and I was smoking it so much that I had basically stopped dreaming entirely. And then at some point, I don't remember how far back this was. It didn't seem that long ago. I was maybe 2009, somewhere between now and 2009, let's say. So I was smoking a whole lot. Got to the point where I couldn't dream anymore. But, I didn't miss it. It wasn't like, oh, I need dreams. I guess nobody really thinks about it as I need dreams. But at some point, I decided, all right, I gotta get a job. And, the better jobs, they tend to drug test. Maybe not. But the drug tests that I'm used to trying to go after, they drug test. So To me, the only sure way to pass that is to completely quit. And I'm sure there'll be some naysayers out there about the technicalities of actually quitting, but we'll get to that. So I decided, all right, I'm gonna quit, and the best way I know to get clean is to just, cold turkey it. And I'm pretty damn good about that. Like, you miss it. I enjoy smoking, but basically, it's frowned upon. Let's just say it's frowned upon. And so a lot of people I know, talk to, friends, coworkers, whatever. Everybody has their own like surefire way to attack a drug test, but I just don't think they're at all accurate. Like they just don't seem believable to me. And when you read all the labels on these sorts of I guess kits that you buy, they all say 100% guaranteed or your money back. So just the whole or your money back, like I love how they make it 100%, but then they have a little caveat of or your money back. We're sorry it failed, or you're so dumb you didn't do it right, whatever. So to me, the only surefire way is to just quit cold turkey, wait an entire month, and then start applying. Or maybe start applying halfway through the month, because damn, they never tell you either already have a job or it's like months later. So, like I said, I was smoking really heavily to the point where I had stopped dreaming. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to get a job. And I stopped smoking. And guess what happened? I had streams and streams of dreams. Let's say every single night I dreamed, and they were all those type of vivid, very real, like you wake up or you come to in the dream and it's so real, so believable that you're not even sure you're actually dreaming. Maybe it's real. Maybe there's something a little off, but it's so real to you, so convincing that hey, it could actually be reality. So my mind was getting blown full of these dreams, like just happening every time. And it got to the point where I could start controlling them. Like I started, if I wanted more of something else, I could control it and make that happen. Like if I was enjoying something that was going on, I tried to keep it going, and I could keep. And another thing is, I would lay back down. Like I'd wake up, I'd lay back down, and I'd be able to return right to it, which was kind of crazy. Like I don't know if it was the intensity of the dreams that were coming through, or the fact that maybe I was operating on some higher level now that my brain was no longer getting gunked up. I don't know, but ever since then, dreams have kind of had this like an openness to them now, and it's interesting because the real story here is, as a kid, I used to have nightmares, like really bad nightmares. And there was reoccurring ones, and I have this funny feeling or understanding of reoccurring dreams. It's basically during that time when I had the flood back, like I told you I could go back to them. That was probably the first time I could control going back to them. Like, I want to think about this, and I went there. I showed up. It was crazy. Like, I had more control than I've ever had throughout my dreams. But as a kid, I didn't have so much control, and it was like we all know as kids, things are a little more scarier. The world, so much more of the world isn't revealed to us, so that, we're surrounded by the unknown. We're freaked out. I used to be freaked out all the time. Like, I have this, we used to live in this small complex, and like a bunch of lined up houses. And then the dumpster, as dumpsters usually are, they're kind of hidden off to the side somewhere. Well, where I grew up, we're all in the desert. So at the edge of this complex, there was nothing. It was just pitch black, and that's where the dumpster was. So our house was on the very other end of the complex, and there's house lights. There was the rentals right next door, which maybe I'll talk about later in the future. If you're living on the res, you know what I'm talking about, the rentals. But it was lit up. There was light over there. And for some damn reason, every time I took out the trash, I had to take it to the other end of the complex, which is away from the lights and in the darkness. And I used to be so damn scared, like so damn scared to just walk down that way and turn that corner and look, and you could barely see the dumpster. There's noises out in the desert going on. There's lizards or whatever, like something's out there crawling around. And so I guess basically what I'm getting at here is dreams and fear and influences of the unknown lead to us seeing stuff. So I've been thinking lately about the reoccurring dreams I used to have, and then what's going on with me now, which I'll get to. So as a kid, I used to have reoccurring dreams that freaked the hell out of me, and a lot of it was, I think it was movies I was watching. Like I remember watching scary movies, with my relatives at home, like just kind of sneaking one in, and then I'd be freaked out, what you see in the movies is what's going to hop out around the corner in front of you. It's easy as a kid to see that, to not know and to be able to be afraid of it, know that there's somebody's not actually getting murdered in the freaking video. They're acting, and there's they call it rouge in the business, fake blood and whatnot, like fake skin, all that. Like, so you grow up, that stuff's there. As a kid, man, I used to get influenced by it. I used to get so scared. I used to have these dreams, and one of my reoccurring dreams, which I still think about, because it had such a strong hold on me. Like I still go back to it. It's kind of funny. Like what it's based off is, I don't know if any, my older audience, if you guys get to listen, you know who Mighty Mouse is, and younger people probably don't. But I remember as a kid, I used to watch Mighty Mouse, and we had a video, like it was a VHS tape. If you need a timeline there, it was a VHS tape, and it was a Mighty Mouse. And the main episode about the Mighty Mouse, he was basically like a Superman but the size of a mouse. And one of the main stories was this little lamb, and her, she's lost from her herd, and she's running around, and she encounters wolves. There's 3 of them, and basically, they're all cartoony, and they're old school. So what's funny is today's cartoons for kids are ridiculous. Like, they're well drawn. We have so much different technology for that, and they're real clean and PC. But man, old school cartoons, like if you really go back, like there's all this horrible, like, racist ass shit going on, and there's also dark shit, like, animals killing each other. Tom and Jerry were constantly trying to kill each other with butcher knives and whatever else. You just don't really see that nowadays. Maybe you do, maybe I'm crazy, whatever. I'm telling the goddamn story here. So Mighty Mouse is flying in to protect this lamb who's basically getting run through the arena, chased. Like, these wolves want to eat her, and Mighty Mouse comes through to save her. And this part of my dream that kept coming back was based off of this one scene. Mighty Mouse, he comes in, somehow fire gets involved, and he sets the tail of the wolf on fire. And the wolf starts running, scared shitless. Like, he's running, freaked out so much that his muscled body jumps out of his skin, and then his skin grabs onto the muscle body and starts hanging on, just kind of flapping in the wind. Then the skeleton jumps out of the muscles, so then the muscles grab onto the skeleton, and the skeleton is just running like mad. So in my dream, like I had kind of like this like haunted house dream that kept coming back, and the weird thing was that the haunted house was my actual house. And I kept seeing in the front yard, like a bunch of other stuff was going on. One other real strong image that still comes back to me is this eyeball rolls over and looks at me like it's just an eyeball sitting on the floor behind the blinds. It rolls over and looks at me. So weird dream, but the scene of the wolf's tail being on fire and it basically, jumps out of its skin and runs is so scared, And that was a part of the dream. Like, it kept coming back. This freaking dream. I'd be stuck in my house and it was haunted or scary or whatever the hell. It's always dark. And the damn wolf's always jumping out of its skin and running shitless, and that scared the shit out of me. And I don't. You ever have a nightmare and you feel scared, but hell, you're in a freaking dream, but you're scared, like you feel it, you're terrified, and even when you wake up, you're still freaking terrified. I had this reoccurring dream, so of that, and it was terrifying to watch this animal jump out of its skin and run. And of course, in my dream, it was much more vivid. It wasn't just a two-dimensional cartoon character sitting on the freaking TV. It was in my mind, and it was running in a place that I've seen before. Like, it was running through my yard on fire, screaming its head off, and it was out of its skin. Like the skin was holding on to this bag of meat, and the bag of meat was holding on to the skeleton. If you could think about that to a kid, like when we lived at that place, I was definitely under 10, and I think about the time those dreams were occurring, I was probably still at Indian Oasis, which is the primary school, for those of you who don't know, down on the reservation. And I was pretty young, and I just kept having this dream. Like, probably came back once a month, came through a bunch in a year. And the only really, like, I remember the feeling of being scared, but the only two images that really stuck with me was the eyeball rolling around behind the window blinds, and I went and looked, and it rolled over and looked at me, and then seeing that freaking coyote running out of its skin. And what's funny is, I'm an adult now, but I bet you anything, like, I would probably laugh a little, but I bet you anything, if I saw that freaking Mighty Mouse cartoon, which I'll probably look up soon, look it up yourselves, Mighty Mouse Saves the Lamb, or Mighty Mouse and the Lambs, or Mighty Mouse and the Three Wolves, whatever you gotta do, see if you can find it. Maybe I should have looked it up before then, but anyway, that's not the point of the story. So I remember the fear, and I bet if I watched this episode again, I would laugh at it like, oh, I'm crazy, this is stupid. But it affected me so deeply as a child that I bet even now I'd have this feeling, like this deep down feeling of fear. Which is crazy, but the mind and dreams and fear basically has this metamorphic hold on our bodies, this chemical control, I guess is one way to put it. Like, our mind controls our body, and our emotions are somewhere in there, and they're all tied together, and fear is one of those emotions that kind of, one of the stronger ones. And as you know, my anger is one of my stronger ones, but we're talking about fear this time. This is the storytelling. Fear was more the basis of the story than this whole Mighty Mouse reoccurring nightmare. The reoccurring nightmare is to establish the idea that fear and our minds and dreams have this strange power over us, and it's basically that brings me to today, what's been happening to me recently. Now, a lot's happened between now and 6 years old. That was 27 years ago. Wow. Whoa, I'm an old fuck. Okay, I'm getting up there in age here. So, here, I'm gonna have a drink here. Promise it's just water this time. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so what I've established here is there's a connection between your outside world, things you experience. So I watched this movie, and then there's a connection between your brain and dreams. So there's like a way your body deals with, I guess, whatever issues you got, whatever struggles you got going on, and it manifests in dreams. And that's basically your brain working through your body, through your mind, to release tension, to face tension, to do something in your life. Something's not getting taken care of, and your body starts producing this experience, let's say. So another outside influence I had as a kid, and I established already, if I watched Mighty Mouse today, I'd probably still have this uneasy feeling, which is ridiculous, I know, but that's the power I'm talking about that the brain has over your fears, your emotions. They have power through your brain over your body, and you can deal with them, whatever. I deal all the time with whatever, but there's a connection. So another video I watched as a kid was Silence of the Lambs, and for those of you in the know, and if you don't know, you better damn go watch that movie. And then I want you to imagine me, a little kid, watching Silence of the Lambs. And of course I didn't understand all of it, but I didn't understand everything that was going on, but it affected me. It scared the crap out of me. And like, again, child versus man. I watched something as a kid, I grow up, I watch it again, it's like, holy crap, I didn't know what the hell I was watching. It's so much more interesting now, and it's something I look forward to watching, right? So that was an experience as a child that really, really affected me. It really messed with my mind. And so that was then. And then just the other day I watched Silence of the Lambs again, and I was watching it right before I went to go to work. Now, this is significant because they're kind of intertwined here with what I've just introduced about the story about me as a child. And so I watched Silence of the Lambs as a kid. Scared the shit out of me. I watched it the other day, and although I've seen it 100 times since then, it still kind of has this effect on me. Like, I enjoy the movie. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, they're freaking great. And damn, like Hannibal Lecter, like Anthony Hopkins was Hannibal Lecter. Like, I don't know. I don't know enough to talk about it. Maybe on another episode. But basically, it was really well done. And I watched this movie, and yes, like, it was funny. I felt a little bit like a kid. Like, towards the end, I was watching it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't watch this before I go to work. And it was funny because I'm a freaking adult now, and it's like, this thing from my childhood still kind of affects me today. And it wasn't like I was terrified, but I was uneasy. And it's crazy to think about. It's like, okay, grown man, 33 years old, like, I'm not afraid of the dark. It's like, it's the dark, whatever. You know so much more about the world. I know that was a movie, but there's some deep down connection that still stays with me from being a child to now. From being a little kid watching this movie, getting freaked out, growing up, realizing that it's not the same thing. It's not real, although, it's to be unsaid about Hannibal Lecter. But it still affects me today. And I was watching the movie and I started getting that uneasy feeling. It was funny, like, I think why I'm so attracted to scary movies now is it's kind of like tapping back into being a child again. It's like, oh, it's like, the world's so fake now. Like, you grow up as an adult, and like I've said before in Child versus Man, the curtain has been removed, or you see the strings at the puppet show, to quote Jerry Maguire. You've seen behind the curtain. So much of the world is known, it's no longer scary, it's no longer, whatever it was to you as a child. And what's interesting is I'm aware of all these things. I've learned so much more about movie making and how it's done, and that it's acting, it's not real. But I'm watching it the other day, and I'm starting to get freaked out. I start getting this uneasy feeling, and I'm like, it's nothing. I'm fine. Like, I'm an adult. This isn't scary. Fuck it. It's not scary. But now this is the interesting part. This is part of the storytelling. This is interesting about what's been going on to me lately. I've already established there was a connection I had as a child to the movie I just watched the other day. It still affected me. It still kind of freaked me out. And what's interesting is, hand in hand with my job, I think something's been unlocked. Something interesting. So let me talk a little bit about my job. I work 9 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, and basically I work 40 hours a week, so 40 hours overnight. And when I get home, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's already coming up, or at least this time of the year, that's what's going on. So I haven't been getting sleep. Like, it's hard. Like, you come home, the sun's coming up, you lay down on the couch or on your bed, whatever. I've been laying on the couch because the living room's probably the darkest room I have in my house right now. But I come home and it's 6 o'clock, the sun's coming up, and I can't go to sleep. I'm sitting here and my body just won't let it happen. It won't register. It won't I think it's called circadian. My circadian rhythm is off. Like, laying here, being awake in the morning, and the sun's coming up, it throws me all out of whack, and I can't get to sleep. Now, this has happened before when I've had a job like this, my other graveyard shift at the hardware store, and it got to the point where I started kind of wigging out. It got kind of weird. And there was one point where I don't know what the hell happened, what I ate, what was going on. Like, I swear to God, it wasn't drug induced. I didn't sleep for like a freaking week. Like, it was weird as hell. Like, I did not sleep. Like I needed to. Like, I kept, like, my head kept bobbing. Like, when your body decides, all right, I'm not going to let you decide, I'm going to put you to sleep. Well, what kept happening was I was bobbing off. My mouth would open up, a little drool would come out, I'm like, it's time to go to sleep. And I go to lay down, and like either a loud noise would happen, or someone would call me, or I just couldn't make the connection. I couldn't pass over that little bridge to get to sleep. So it happened in the past. I wasn't sleeping, and it went on for like a week. And near the end of the week, I started like hallucinating. Like, I was freaking out. Like, a week no sleep. Like, think about this. Like, the closest I got was like maybe 10 seconds with my eyes closed, and then somebody opened the door, and I woke up. And I was like, fuck, I need to go to sleep. But what was interesting was I started hallucinating. It was weird. Like, I would be walking and falling asleep. Like, I would be walking. Like I'd be at work, and I could feel myself getting sleepy, so I'd be like, I better get busy and go walk over here and do this job over here, and it'll keep me up. I'm fine. And I'd start walking, and it was weird. I'd be walking and falling asleep. Like, I'd be closing my eyes and just, you know, I'd be walking, like actively moving my body, standing up, and I'm freaking falling asleep. So, and at some point I started hallucinating and seeing things. And so the other day, like I said, this something opened up in me the other day. All right, let the plane pass over here. So the other day I'm watching Silence of the Lambs, and I started getting that uneasy feeling. And just like before, I haven't been getting sleep at work. I haven't been getting sleep because of work. And I went to work, and I started seeing shit. I started feeling that uneasy feeling at work. And what I basically do is, it's nighttime, the store's about to close. It usually close. I get there at 9, it starts to close at 10. And then shortly after 10, I'm basically given run of the department where I'm just left alone and I'm working, and I basically restock everything. It's a lot of forklift work, a lot of restacking crap like soils and pavers and bricks and all that, like just refilling the department, making stuff look better, cleaning up. And so I'm out there the other night, and I'm freaking out, like there has been creepy stuff that goes on over there. Like one day this freaking drone came flying over, and it just kept sticking around us, and I'm just like, you get pissed off. It's like, all right, man, mind your business. Like, take that shit somewhere else. And then this guy walks up, and he starts talking to us about his drone. Apparently it was him, and he was just sitting in his car down the way, and he was watching us and telling us to, do the YouTube, go to YouTube, check out his channel. Screw that guy. I'm not giving him a plug here. So there was that. So, creepy guy. And there's always homeless people in around. Like, there's this one guy I feel really bad for. I run the forklift up and down this wall where we keep all our crap. Like, there's this wall that separates the building from, like, this wash on the other side of the wall. And they have this walkway on that side, and this freaking guy, I feel bad for him. Like, I'm always running my machine back there, like moving pallets around, and this guy, he sleeps on a bench on the other side of the wall. So I'm and I feel bad, like, beep, 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 I'm running my machine, picking crap up, it's loud, and I feel bad, but that's where he chooses to sleep. So I always try to tell myself that, whatever. So because of that guy and a bunch of other people I've seen, and the creepy freaking weirdo with the drone, I'm aware there's people around. And the other night, I think it was either the same night or the next night. I think it was the same night. I went to work after watching Silence of the Lambs, and I was on the outside of the building. I was loading up the pallet, and I just started getting this creepy feeling, like almost like I'm being watched. And it kind of brought me back to that scene in Silence of the Lambs where Buffalo Bill is watching the girl, and he's faking, like, trying to load a couch into the van, and he gets the girl to help him. He's like, "Oh, my arm's broken, help me please." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And he gets her, but the whole time he's watching her before. And I'm sitting there, and I'm loading up the pallets, and I started getting this creepy feeling, like, man, somebody's watching me, like, something's not right. So I kept looking around. And the funny thing about working in the department is usually about a half hour or so after work, after the store closes, the lights automatically shut off. So at one point I'm in, like, almost daylight, the lights are so bright, and the next second I'm in pure darkness on the outside garden department, which is fine, whatever. I know the area, whatever. Like, that's not really the scary part, but I got this fucking uneasy feeling. And the funny thing about the department is when it does go dark, I'm usually running the forklift. I got these lights on the forklift, but you start kind of, the whole time you're watching for people. Like, yes, the store is closed, but at any point another employee could come waltzing out and get stabbed with the forks and run over or whatever. So it's like I'm constantly looking for people, and like I got the horn. I honk the horn. The lights are going. The alarm. The backup beeping's going on, and I'm always looking for people. And at night, sometimes you see shit and you look. You look twice. Like what's over there? Like, oh, somebody's walking out. I better be careful. Like, I catch people in my periphery all the time. Let me get some water. So, so you're always looking for people, and there's been times where, I catch people in the corner of my eye, or I'll be like gunning it down one of the walkways, and somebody will walk out, and I'm just like, whoa, hit the brake. Well, sometimes you see somebody in your peripheral vision, and you look, and nobody's there. Well, the other freaking night, I got that uneasy feeling. And I was looking around, and I kept, like, what the fuck was that? Like, I'm looking around, I'm loading up this pallet, and every now, like the hairs are standing up in the back of my head, like something's around, and I kept looking. I'm like, oh, I'm crazy, what the hell is this? And I was driving around in the department, and I kept seeing people, but they weren't there, like, there was nothing there. I paused, like, oh, I better watch out for this person. And I look, like, I catch a, glimpse. And then I get prepared to stop. And then I look, and nobody's there. And it's like, okay, like, holy crap. Well, I think Silence of the Lambs and my lack of sleep on this job is starting to affect me. Like, the other day, I was sitting there at the table. It might have been the same day. It might have been just the other day. But I was tricked. I had picked up a water bottle out of my kitchen. Like I keep water bottles around so that, like, I can bring water to work, or I ride my bike to work. So I'm sweating it out. I need some water, so I keep bottles around. And I picked up this bottle. There was some water in it. Went to work. And, I didn't look at it. I just grabbed it and filled it up. I didn't give it any kind of thought. And while I'm sitting there at lunchtime, I'm turning this bottle in my hand, and I look. And it looks like there's a freaking roach carcass floating around the bottom of the bottle. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't check the bottle, and there's a fucking roach in it. I've been drinking it this whole time. I didn't even think about it. So I turn the bottle again, and I'm looking, and it looks like a roach, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a roach carcass in my freaking water. I'm gonna spill this out. And then I pick up the bottle, I look in the bottle. There's nothing in it. It's completely clear. There's nothing going on there. But I saw it. There's a roach carcass in my water. And then I told you I've been seeing people, like, strange. I was doing it again last night, which is why, I've been thinking about doing this podcast. I'm like, man, I'm seeing crap. I'm seeing people, and it's almost that, that control your mind has over your body. Like, I felt like I kind of set myself up by watching Silence of the Lambs the other night. And it wasn't that I was scared of Silence of the Lambs, but something from my childhood was brought back, that fear, and then the fear and my lack of sleep kind of unlocked my mind. And I've been seeing crap at work. Like, I turn a corner and there's someone there, and then I look and there's no one there. I'm driving around the back and I'm feeling watched, and I've been unlocked to the world again. And here's the end of it. Here is, there's been a bunch of situations in my life where you get that eerie feeling. The hairs go up on the back of your neck, your skin, you get goosebumps, and you hear something, you see something, you smell something. I've had some weird, like, death suddenly appears kind of stuff. Like, there was another time, way back when, I used to party at my friend's house, and he lived about a mile away from me. We lived out in the village, so my house, some of you have been there, some of you haven't, but my house is way out in the middle of nowhere, like way out, like 30 miles from a big village. It's not even a city, it's a big village. And I'm in Tucson now, and it's probably about 100 miles from here. very close to the Mexican border. People show up to our house all the time asking for water and food and a phone call or ride, whatever. They're looking to get into. They made it into the U.S. and they're looking to get deeper into their families. So there's real activity out in the desert, and I used to walk home through the desert. Like I would go to my buddy's house and get really messed up, like really trashed, and then I'd head home. So all you could really see between our house and between his house and my house was blackness. It was all desert. I've walked through it 100 times during the day, and I've walked through it at night, and it's totally different at night. Like there's this one point in the trail where there's a bush kind of in the middle of the trail, and you see that bush and you take a right turn there and you go like I think it's an old wagon trail, so it's kind of cut out through the desert, kind of, but it's very old, so like trees growing up through it, like it's all overgrown, like you could barely tell there's a road there, but if you know it's there, it's there. So there's a point in the trail that when you see the bush, you turn. If you don't see the bush, you just wander through the desert, quite possibly fall into a wash, which I have done, completely shit-faced. And the whole time I'm just walking towards this security light that we have over our house. Like it's just a single big bulb that you can see from far away. Like it's a security light. Anybody who lives out in the desert, like they know. Or far in the countryside, there's usually one good security light out there, and that's all you see out there. Usually all you see is security lights in the deeper areas. And so I used to walk through the desert, pitch black, drunk off my ass, and trying to head home, and all I'm heading towards is the light. And I see the light, and I just start walking towards it. Well, there's been a few times where, a bunch of times where I'd walk out there, I'd miss the freaking turn. Every single time I'd miss that goddamn turn. You see the bush in the middle of in the trail, the cutaway, whatever you want to call it, and that's when you turn. That's your cue to turn, because if you don't turn, the trail ends, and if you turn, the trail goes all the way to my house, like almost right up to it, like right along the back of it, and you can take that the whole way and get home safe, whatever. And that night I missed the freaking turn. I started wandering through the freaking desert, like I'm just headed towards this light, and I start hearing fucking footsteps. And kid, I'm still young about that time, probably. We moved out to Coalfields when I was about 12, so anytime after that. And I was drinking, which didn't start. I was drinking, so it couldn't have been much longer after that, because when you're out in the freaking desert, you got movies and alcohol, like usually nothing else, and sometimes that's what you do. So I'm wandering through the desert, I'm drunk, and I start hearing footsteps. Now, Yes, in your child's mind, there's, ghosts and goblins and ghouls and monsters. But the funny thing about the res and my village Coalfields and the Mexican border, it is very real. There are actual beasts, coyotes and snakes, and like I'm not afraid of coyotes because I grew up with them, but there's stuff out there that can fuck you up. And of course, there's all the chupacabra, that sucker's out there. Anyway, there's also Mexicans, and I started hearing footsteps following me. I'm out there in the freaking desert, it's pitch black, like all I can see is the security light way over there. I'm heading towards it. I'm stumbling because there's no longer a trail. It's just kind of open range, desert, bushes, cactus, whatever. And I start hearing footsteps, and I'm just like, who's there? Who's that? I'm turning around. What's going on? Who's out there? Okay, nobody's answering. I'm going to keep walking, and then you hear footsteps. Yes, it could have been the reverberation of my footsteps. But in your mind and in reality, in this situation, there actually could have been somebody out there. So I guess what I'm getting at, here's the questions: is you ever have times in your life where you feel like you've been opened up to the supernatural? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe that when people die, that some of them kind of stick around? How do you believe in chupacabra? What do you believe in? I believe that our mind is very powerful and it has a crazy control over your body, and your emotions have an effect on you. And me lately being lack of sleep, I freaking suddenly opened by the movie Silence of the Lambs. I feel like it was like the key to my mind. It unlocked me and opened me up to, I guess, fear. So if you are listening to this, I hope you guys make contact with me. Subscribe, please, and hit notifications so that I don't have to keep sending links to everybody. Just hit notifications and you'll get confirmation that the next episode is released, like this one. And let's talk about it. Why don't you send me some messages? Why don't you tell me a story about a time where something freaked you out? Maybe something opened you up. Maybe you experienced something with ghosts, demons, the supernatural, aliens. I've got a ton of stories, and if you just hit me up, we'll talk about it. So anyway, this is just something I wanted to share, really, and it turned out to be about 45 minutes here, so I think that's long enough. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Like I said, please subscribe and click notifications. This is Benjamin Juan. It is May 30th, Thursday, May 30th, and I gotta go to work soon, so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys come back for the next episode. All right.